wild turkeys. There's about 15 of them. This is where the creek runs. It dries out in the summertime. So last year, in 2016, I made this road, cleared it in here so that I could see how the creek will run in the springtime. So the future is to make a channel run nice and straight right through. Maybe even have some pools. I don't know. So I got as far as over there where it gets thick. The property line is at least another 100 feet past there. And looking this way, it's at least 200 feet that way into the trees up the mountain. I've never had a chance to clear that. Not really a priority, but eventually I will clean it up, make it look very nice. We have maple trees here. Here's a maple tree. There's actually 3 of them. And I remember when I was clearing this, these things were just little sticks. So there's lots of water through here because there's lots of cedar. Like these in front. There's more maples. Lots of birch. So the first time I cleared this actual section here was in 2005. And then 11 years later, 2016, I cleared it again, thinned it out more. So now I'll probably clear it again maybe 10 years from now. 9 years actually. 2026. What I want to do is from this rise, I want to divert water through a piping system, and along the side somewhere here I want to have water tanks. You know, maybe 5,000 gallons. I'll make it. It'll be a long water system, long holding. And when the water comes in the spring, I want to catch it. And that way then I could water my fields with all the water. Anything left over in the fall time, I'll just drain it. So this right here, I didn't get a chance last year to do anything, just a few little branches, but I am going to eventually clear it. It goes about 250 feet that way to the property line. So yeah, I'll clear it and I'll see how the water runs. So all the trees that are on the property here, even the small ones, I did not plant them. They were growing, and as I was clearing the land, I decided to keep them. They were small. You could see that I trimmed some of them, and even the bottoms I trimmed so that they would grow bigger, and they took off. So because they were growing wild, they have a better chance of growing than if you plant, because you have to water them all the time. The only thing that I do is I trim them and I give them fertilizer, manure. Every year I spread 2 tons of manure all over the property. We have a logging truckload of firewood here. These are the trees that were in this field that I did not want, and I cut them down. And the reason why I did not want is because there were no branches going down to the bottom. The forest was too thick, so the branches were only in the last 20 feet, and then it was just like spaghetti sticks all the way to the ground. Instead, what we've done here is we're having a new forest grow, which eventually will be just as tall as the old trees, but the branches will go to the bottom. Over here is going to be my infamous rock wall, which is going to be horseshoe shaped. It will start kind of at the top of the ridge of the driveway, and it'll come around through here, and it will be about at the lowest point about 4 or 5 feet, and then I'll use backfill, and there will be a lawn up here. So need lots of rocks for rock walls. It's easy to just get cemented, pre-made bricks, I guess, and lay it, but in my opinion it's not going to fit the nature that's here. You know, if it was in a city, that'd be great. So instead, in 2010, I started collecting rocks, going up Norns Road, picking them up, usually picking up about 150 per trip, and started stockpiling them here. So what you see here, over the last 7 years, I've collected about 9,000 rocks. How do we know there's 9,000 rocks? Because every time I go up the mountain, I bring 150 minimum, could be more, and I count it. This year for 2017, I brought 1,350. Each rock was selected for its face. So one side of a rock somewhere has a face that's flat, and the flat face is going to be what's going to show once the wall is built. Somebody may be asking, well, what about your rocks on your property? Well, this is all that I collected that were decent for building walls, and this was between 2005 and 2010. And I thought, no, you can't build rock walls with this. I'm going to have to go on my own and get them. And in my opinion, the hardest part of building a rock wall, or walls, is actually getting rocks. So I figure if I do, I don't know, 1,500 to 2,000 per year, I should have 10,000 rocks. The first 2-3 years I was pretty gung-ho. I was going over 2,000, but I've been slowing down, but I've also had other priorities. Every year I put manure around every single tree. This year I took a count. For 2017, 410 trees were ringed with manure. So all the trees that are pretty much within 200 feet of the house have manure around them. The manure I buy off Alan and Linda Birch. They just live down on Pilgic Stretch, so I pay $100 and get 2 tons and spread it around. What I've also done, which is very good, is the property line. I managed to thin it out because originally my property looked like this, all of it, a forest, and except for where the house is, that was logged out. But this is tight, rough inside. You can't walk through, you're going to poke an eye out. So the first couple years were to just by hand chainsaw and let's see, there's more manure. Chainsaw and cut and thin everything off, drag everything out, and I was doing 1 pile a day for burning, and I get 20-30 piles by the end of the summer, of which Andy DeRosa would burn in the fall time around November. You could see these ribbons that are here. These mark the property line. So if you look this way, this is looking west. It's rough. There's a lot of dead shit and garbage. Whereas over here, I thinned everything out, left the cedars because I like the cedars and I like the firs, and it's growing much better. I try and cut as many of the pine down. My personal preference is I don't like pine, so I don't want any pine. If I can help it, I cut them out. These little shooters didn't get around to it this year, but next year I'll have to cut them out. So in here we've got birch and cedar, a few firs. So this is actually nice. It's thinned out. The trees get lots of sunlight, and they're not fighting for water with other trees, and they're spaced just nicely. And that's that. What we have over here, from 2004, I believe, to 2013, I cleared all this by hand. And in 2013, I bought myself a backhoe. And with the backhoe, I pulled out all the stumps. These big rocks were on the property, either above ground or some below ground that I had managed to dig them up. I'm going to use these, possibly this one for the house number. And the other ones, I don't know, could make some sort of a rock garden. I don't know. These cedars that are here, there's also a fir. They were left here so that they would be kind of dust barrier for when you would drive up the driveway. Now, although as they're starting to grow, I may have to re-thin this little grove out. It's also kind of rough in here. Eventually I'll flatten everything out. There's a couple larch, or tamarack, whatever you want to call it, growing here. There's a few fir, but I want to keep as many of the cedars. What we also have is, this is topsoil right here that I brought in from my small property, and sand. The topsoil will be for the lawn. The sand will be if any fill is needed. I have my power already up. So the power is up, although the line only goes up to the hill, but as soon as I start building, about $500 to string it the rest of the way. So that's out of the way. The house view is going to be this. This is what I've been working for all these years. It's for this view. That's looking towards Nelson. And this is where the house is going to be. It's going to be a walkout basement. So you basically drive in, carport, and there's going to be southern view. So yeah, there's grass here right now, but give it a bit of time. I'm going to have this all green. And the view, the privacy, the beauty of nature, this is what I want. Very quiet. Takes a long time to get to this stage, but it's well worth it. I don't know, to me it's worth $1 million. Maybe to others that think that this is too far out in the middle of nowhere, I disagree. Castlegar, 10, 15 minutes, 10 minutes if you're given, or 15, no problem. It's just down there. So it's not like you're in the Tules like some people say. Our Pass Creek Valley is growing. So as Pass Creek Valley grows, this area just becomes more desirable. Pass Creek Road's not going to have 100 vehicles every 15 minutes driving by the house. We're in a subdivision with a no-through road, and the lot is big. It's over 9 acres. So the privacy, the next door neighbor that will be beyond what I thinned out won't see their house. There's a neighbor over there, you could just see their roof, big deal. And the next property, you won't see it, it's one ridge down. So there you have it. This is what I've been working on every single summer since 2004. except 2011 I never came to do any work on here because I had to go to Russia for Andrusha's birth, and that's it. But we can basically say that this was all transformed into what I believe is awesome. Now these trees that you see here, in 2004 they were barely 2 feet. I didn't water them ever. I only put manure on them. I thinned them out so they're growing very, very healthy. I do lose an odd 1 or 2 per year. Well, that's acceptable. But considering that this year, 2017, I spread manure around 410 trees, tells you that, you know, to lose 1 or 2 trees a year, it's not that bad. It's less than 1/4%. Many more are popping up. So for the ones that you lose, you end up getting another one, let's say like this larch. I didn't notice this one until this year. Oh, there's another one. Just noticed this one. So there it is. So who knows? I might end up growing this one if I like it. Let it grow for the next couple of years. We'll see what happens. If it turns out to be nice, I'll trim it and it'll become part of the arsenal of trees. So that's it. Yep, a couple more years. Couple more years of living in Korea, and then we're going to be moving back. And by the time we move back, a lot of the prep work has already been done. Just got to build a house. That's it. Got the water line in. Did that this year, 2017. I dug it, laid 100 feet of pipe from the well to where the house is going to be. We've got the power. We've done a road. I had John Lukov and Chris Sherbinin come and make a Coca-Cola out of the road. So it's very nice. Had Gordy Zaitsev grade the crush that Nick Bolin brought. So it's all on the hill coming up, but I didn't do anything here because I'm still going to be working, so there's no point in laying crush. You're going to be moving around a lot. So there it is, everybody. That is my dream, and it's going to be a reality. A few more years. Stick around. That's what I say. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, this is what Vika, Vanya, and Andrusha are going to be experiencing in a few years. Living in absolute beauty. Yeah. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed my tour. I think we walked around most of the property, except the bottom of the road. But I'll probably videotape that from the car. I'll include that into the video a little bit later. So, take care, enjoy, talk to you soon. Bye.